Today we are talking about trader burnout. When is it okay to walk away from your trading? Why it's even sometimes better to take a break from trading, and how do you come back with more motivation and inspiration? And with that, I welcome you back to the Trade Society Traders Improve podcast. I am your host. And as every Thursday, I welcome you with a new topic. If you're watching this on YouTube, also thank you for the great support there. If you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, or any other podcast app, I would really appreciate if you can take a few seconds and leave a review there. It really makes a difference, and we can see if people are enjoying this podcast. All right, so now back to the topic. And as I said, we're talking about burnout, quitting trading, taking a break, and everything that goes into it. So I've been working with many traders for many years, and it's not uncommon to see that traders take a break or even completely quit their trading. And recently it happened again. Some trader that we're working with took a break from trading, and I took this opportunity to think about it. And after talking to the trader, I had some realizations that I would like to share. I'm not sure if the technical term burnout really applies here, but basically what I mean is that you are walking away from your trading. Often this is caused by a mental state of exhaustion, maybe even frustration. And often traders also see that their life kind of gets out of balance. This happens quite a lot when traders are spending too much time in their trading, maybe then even neglect other areas of their life. And then at one point, especially if then the results also don't look that great, it's very easy to reach a state of exhaustion and also frustration. And we really need to address this, because in your first few years as a trader, your results won't be great, and your results probably will not live up to your expectations in the few first years. And so probably almost every trader will go through this at one point during their trading career, during their trading journey, to varying degrees. So that's why it's so important that we address this, because it's a common issue. And I think there are a few things that I would like to share from my experience. So we are already running into our first issue, because as you might have heard me just say, I said that it may take a few years until you can become a consistently profitable trader. And some traders may now jump in and say that I heard about this guy who was able to become profitable in 6 months, in 9 months, in 12 months he was trading a lot of money already. And of course there are those, I would call it edge cases. However, I always like to think about in terms of the average trader. And I have worked with hundreds of traders over the years, and on average traders do need 2, 3, 4 years, I would say, until they can really break through. And I would really also be interested in hearing your experience in the comments below. But from what I've seen, 2 until 4 years, so let's settle on the middle, 3 years until you can get from losing consistently to break even to slightly profitable trader. And when we talk about this, and when traders bring up the point that there are people who can make it in shorter time, I am agreeing that this is possible. However, then I would also always counter with the question, what makes you think that you are above average? And there are some biases that have been researched by science that people often overestimate their abilities, and when asked, people in general would always rate themselves a little bit above average. So it's very important to understand that this is a natural bias. However, it's really important to assess your skill level correctly so that we can take the right decisions afterwards. So first of all, what I find very helpful is to look at other areas in your life and then ask, are you above average in other areas of your life? Have you shown that you have above average skills, that your work ethic is above average, that you have already reached in whatever it may be, whether it's just school, whether it's fitness, you have built a business, you are exceptionally in shape, you are very well read, you have exceptional knowledge in some areas. Have you proven that you have above average skills in one other area? If that's the case, we can maybe put the favor a little bit more in your corner. However, if that's not the case, I think it's not a bad place to say that you are average. I know it doesn't sound amazing to say that, okay, I have average skills. However, I think it's very important to be very realistic and also be honest, because the decisions that we're going to make afterwards, after we have assessed our skill level, that's going to really make the difference whether we are able to advance in our trading career and whether we are able to actually become profitable traders over the long term. So what happens actually if you assess the situation incorrectly and you believe that you are an above average trader? How is such a trader going to approach their trading? So probably the trader is going to be obviously very overconfident. Maybe he underestimates the level of risk that is inherent in trading. Also, I've often seen that such overconfident traders also don't think that keeping a trading journal is necessary. They see it as something that is boring, that they don't need. And obviously they're going to miss a lot of important learning opportunities that way. Such traders are also not likely to take losing streaks as seriously, and then either let a losing streak get out of hand, maybe not learn anything out of it, and eventually have a very, very bad performance. So I hope you can see that having unrealistic expectations about your skill level and then approaching trading in that way may lead to a lot of issues later. And eventually this will lead you to actually wasting a lot of time, and becoming a profitable trader will either not be possible for such people, or it may take years, much longer, and be much more frustrating as well. I will bring it back to the topic of traders burnout in a moment, but we're gonna work our way up there and we will get there eventually. So now that we are okay with rating our skill level as average, what does it actually mean? And how does such an approach actually looks like in your trading? So the most important part is that you're not going to be frustrated as easily if you understand that it will take years, and if you don't make money in your first 6, 12, 9 months, you will not be as frustrated. And also, losing streaks are not going to kill your emotional capital very quickly, which is something that I've talked in the past about. And protecting your mental capital is really one of the most important things in your trading. Also, you can approach your trading with a more beginner mindset, and you can openly look for learning opportunities if you don't assume that you already know everything. You may even be so humble and open that you seek out other traders or mentors for help to guide you on your way, because you understand that there's so much that you have to learn, and that can also help you improve your learning curve a bit. When it comes to risk and you don't have to push your account and you don't have the sense of urgency, you can approach your risk management from a more sensible approach. You can risk less, which also going to help you protect your mental capital, but also the capital in your trading account. Losing streaks won't be as dramatic, and it's not going to be such a huge roller coaster. And of course, if you give yourself 4 years instead of 4 months, you don't have to obsess your trading. You know that you can take your time. You don't have to spend 8, 10, 12 hours every day working on your trading, reading forums, trying new strategies, watching YouTube videos, and really feeling so much pressure that you have created for yourself. And therefore, you are less likely to burn out if you approach it slowly instead of obsessing about trading so much. All right, so now we have a conflict, because as you may remember in my last podcast or the one before that, I was talking about setting priorities, eliminating distractions, and then really putting all your time and energy into your trading. So what I'm just saying now is going against what I said just 2 weeks ago. How can this be? And what has changed in 2 weeks? So obviously nothing dramatic has changed over the last 2 weeks, but I had some second thoughts, and even in the podcast I said that obviously humans and the life that people live are very unique and are very different. So one size fits all doesn't usually apply to everyone. And also things are not always as black and white as we would like them to be. So there's always a gray zone in the middle. It's always a little bit more nuanced, and it is always more complex than it seems at first glance. And as I kept thinking about this topic, I remembered that I was listening to a podcast a long time ago where they were talking about the topics of work-life balance, burnout, and setting priorities in your life. And this really fit in nicely here. And also after talking to the trader that just had taken a break from trading, I think this really fits in here perfectly. In the podcast, they were talking about that there are obviously different ways how you can approach the topic of work and life balance. So the first option is that you actually do have a balanced work and life situation in your current life. You maybe have a job where you spend 7 to 8 hours every day, then you go home, you forget about your job. You maybe have an hour or two every day that you can put into your trading, maybe not even every day, but then you still have plenty of time for your family, social life, and other hobbies. So that would resemble a very balanced work-life approach. Approaching your trading from that way obviously will take a lot longer than if we would look at the second approach, which is that you have a long-term balanced work-life situation, but short-term your work-life situation may be out of balance. And I found this very interesting because it resonates with me a lot. This is probably the category that I would see myself more in, not with every topic, but with a lot of topics. So that there are weeks or even months where you are completely focusing into just one area of your life. Maybe you pick up a new hobby, maybe it is actually trading, and you obsess about trading for 10, 12, 14 hours every day, and it goes on for weeks and weeks and even sometimes even months. And you may even then obviously neglect other areas in your life. You may not spend as much time with your friends as you should or want to be, or maybe you don't spend as much time in the gym, you maybe neglect your health a little bit. And then maybe after a few months, then you take a break from trading and you focus more on the other areas that you have previously neglected. You maybe realize that it's time to get back into shape. Maybe in that time that you have spent only at your computer, you have actually started missing going to the gym, you have started missing going out with your friends, and then your work-life balance will shift from a little bit more work to a little bit more life, if we want to say it that way. And so you can see in the short term, your work-life balance may look out of balance, but over the long term, there are maybe 3 months where you only obsess about trading or whatever it may be. Then there are 3 months where you spend most of your time with your family, friends, and your health. Then there are another 3 months where you spend more time with your trading. And then afterwards, you go back to this life part. So this is what it would mean to have a work-life balance that is out of balance short term, but in balance over the long term. The most important thing about this context is to realize that there is not a wrong or a right approach. There's no better or worse. However, from my experience, what I've seen is that different people prefer different approaches. So don't be too hard on yourself and just realize, okay, where do you fit yourself in? For example, I fit into the second category more, and there are periods where I will only spend time in front of my computer working on my trading, maybe discovering something new like algorithmic trading that I have done in the past, and I really obsessed about it for a few months and did nothing else. And often this may occur after a period where I have not spent as much time in front of my computer, in front of my trading. And I think that probably we all can relate to that situations. Often we just see how important something is, how much we miss something when it's taken away from us. And I think this really fits in here nicely. And it's important to realize that this is actually the case as well when it comes to trading or any other hobby or interest that you have. So actually, let's bring it back to the trader that I was mentioning in the beginning that reached out to me and said that he had taken a break from trading. And in such an often emotional moment, once you have that realization that something is not going according to plan, people will often say that they are actually quitting trading. But from my experience, what often happens is that those traders will often come back in a few weeks or in a few months, but they're not completely abandoning trading in most cases. But at the same time, I think it's really important that we take that break, that we don't force it if we don't feel like trading anymore, and if we feel that we have depleted our mental capital, if we feel that our life had gotten a little bit out of balance, and if we really realize that, it's important to actually take action, put the foot on the brake, and step back from trading for a while. It is not a bad thing to take a break occasionally from trading if you feel that it's gotten a little bit too much to your head. And very often in that time that you spend away from trading, you will start missing trading again. And if that's not the case, then probably it was not the right thing for you to begin with. But in any case, it's an important realization, it's an important step you can make, and it's a very common situation that many traders will go through.